I'm EJ Stewart with New Generation Media. The Clippers have been one of the NBA's biggest disappointments this season. So Kendall and I discuss the team's struggles on this week's Sports Talk podcast. Is it time to completely blow up the Clippers? They have been a miserable team for really much of the season after their early 4-0 start. They were 5-1 at one point. The wheels have completely come off. Their latest loss, they got dominated by the Knicks earlier this week. And I don't know, Kendall, when I watched them play this week, the Clippers looked uninspired. They looked like they had seen enough in terms of the guys that they've had together. Even though a lot of these guys are a new look team, some of the new guys they've added. And obviously when you add the injury to Patrick Beverley, him now being out for the season, boy, the Rockets couldn't have timed that deal any better.
It makes you wonder if they knew something. We're talking about a guy that's had meniscus surgery.
He's had these problems before. I think they definitely knew something. So Clippers now 6-11. They did finally snap their 9-game losing streak. Is it time to completely blow up the Clippers? And if so, what would be your first move?
Is it time to completely blow up the Clippers? I think after this Patrick Beverley injury, I believe it is time to blow up the Clippers, EJ. I was one of the fools out there that thought that this Clipper team was almost without a doubt a playoff team. And look, I
know they
Patrick
could be pretty
Beverley
good too.
And Gallo, they proved to be a playoff team, but I was also one of the fools out there that
thought those guys
would be healthy,
yeah.
along with Blake Griffin. So I was wrong about that. I was sold the bill of goods, just like Doc Rivers and Jerry West and Lawrence Frank and the entire Clipper staff, Steve Ballmer. But yeah, it's time to blow it up. The first move is another question that, there are more than one move that needs to be made in this rebuilding process. I think it's DeAndre Jordan's got to go.
Really?
We watched that game against the Knicks, and the first half he played extremely uninspiring basketball. He didn't look like he wanted to be there.
That was the worst I've seen DeAndre look since he was a rookie.
Yeah, basically.
It was
2 rebounds, 0 points.
He looked, and just getting his lunch eaten by his canter. That was.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, he embarrassed himself in that first half.
And so yeah, I think getting rid of DeAndre Jordan, you call the Cavs up, see if they're willing to give up the Brooklyn pick for him. If you're the Cavs, I know you're going to say you can't give that pick under any circumstance.
Yes, because we talked about this off air.
Let's say they're willing to take on Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith. It might make you a worse team in reality.
If they're willing to take on those two guys,
contracts. Maybe give you
what is this, year 3 of Tristan?
Yeah. I think you may have one more year.
Nah, I'm not giving that up for DeAndre Jordan.
It's not worth it.
No.
He doesn't help out. The team needs more space.
Here's what I will say about DeAndre. I do think that in another place where with a team that can get him the ball, I think he still has some game. But I don't think he's good enough for the Cavs that I would do that. Because as we talked about off air, talking about this pick, the Nets are who I thought they were. And it appears that they're going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference yet again. So if that's the case, you're talking about giving up at least a top 6 pick probably. That's not worth DeAndre Jordan to me. Not in this draft, which I think we can go back and forth about what we think about the draft. I think top 5.
About 5 deep.
I think 5, if you're giving up a top 5 pick, that guy better be damn good. And Jordan is too one-dimensional to me, where being only defense and on offense only dunks around the rim for me to decide I'm going to give up a top 5 pick. And then it seems like Tristan Thompson always seems miscast in that team until the playoffs when they decide that Love is so bad defensively that he's
not that much
use
worse
him.
Than Jordan.
Right, exactly. To me, he's still a decent player. I don't know if I want to give up all of that for DeAndre. I have to get something else in return. I don't know if you can get a third team involved and get another player, to get a point guard thrown in there. If you do that, if you give me a decent point guard, maybe I'd be more willing to give it that Brooklyn pick, but not just for DeAndre Jordan.
But they got to find a way to get rid of DeAndre Jordan, clear cap space, or get a draft pick because you got to accelerate this rebuild somehow. Doc Rivers.
Is Doc Rivers part of that rebuild? Is the question.
Yeah.
He literally left Boston to not do a rebuild, and then he gave up the front office gig, and they put together a team so they did not have to rebuild, and yet here we are, 6-11. Nowhere to be found is going to be Patrick Beverley. We don't know when Gallinari's coming back.
Yeah, I feel like Doc Rivers, he's like For all you people out there that watch The Flash, he's escaping the Black Flash of rebuilding. He's Reverse Flash. He's trying to run away. Like the Grim Reaper of rebuilding, trying to chase him down, and they finally got him. It's like, no, you're gonna rebuild at some point in your career, Doc. Can't run from this. No, I mean, I think that he's got to go. But the question is, his staff is a very deep staff. You got Mike Woodson on there. You got Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell's a very good young assistant coach. Do you give the reins to him, or do you just clean house completely? It's another question that you have to ask yourself. Lawrence Frank, do you give him the job?
That's an interesting question. I think it would depend on. It would depend on what. Are you really going to rebuild? Because if you would, I would not rebuild any of the guys they have on their staff.
Exactly. Even though they have a strong staff.
Yeah, the staff they have, like Lawrence Frank or Mike Woodson, could absolutely. Like, if you wanted to fire Doc and say, but we'll keep one of your assistants to do the head coaching job and just be a different voice, one of those guys could definitely do the job. And, like, if these guys became inspired, could figure it out maybe and maybe sneak into the playoffs. Just in terms of their coaching ability. I'm not sure if these players would ever figure it out. But they've proven both of them to be capable. I don't know what Sam Cassell is, but he's a wild card that has been on the bench now for a little while. First of all, I agree. I think that my first move would be to trade DeAndre Jordan. I would not wait that long. I would not wait till the trade deadline to the very last minute. I feel like there's going to be a team that might be desperate as their season starts to fall apart.
Maybe Milwaukee's willing to go with Jabari Parker.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of move you got to make. I would look for that kind of move, a Jabari Parker type. Some of these teams that are always desperate for talent. Phoenix is always desperate for talent. Maybe you can poach one of their young guys, a couple of their young guys.
Excess young guys.
Yeah, those are the kind of teams you need to be looking to trade with. And I think that you can find a deal for him. Also, we talked about it a little bit before, but to me, DeAndre, does he look a little out of shape to you?
You did bring this up.
Because to me, like when I watch him, it's not that and it could just be bulk. Like he's put the working in the weight room. I mean, we've seen that from his rookie year on. I mean, he's a very hard worker in terms of his body, but I wonder if he's added too much mass, especially the muscle mass. Is there enough lean muscle, or is he getting a little more? Is he getting a little too bulky? Because when I watched him play against the Knicks earlier this week, he didn't seem nearly as agile. He didn't seem nearly as active. And this isn't just this year. I felt that way towards the end of last year too. But to me, this year is worse. Like watching him now, he looks even bigger, and I don't know if it's old age, not old age because he's young, but just playing a lot of playoff games and all the jumping he does.
He's definitely old.
That he's got old legs, basically. I don't know if it's his legs going out or if it's too much weight, but he just definitely doesn't seem to be in the best shape that he could be in. Do you think I'm off on that?
I mean, Charles Barkley has always said that you only have a certain amount of jumps in your career.
Yeah.
And we've seen it with Blake Griffin, still a great player, but not nearly the same athlete as he was early in his career.
So one of my favorite Charles quotes. My favorite Charles quote is, "You never get when you start getting certain age, you don't get healthy, you get rested."
Yeah.
And I think that's something that these Clipper guys are starting to realize too, is that they have a lot of players who they've had injury issues, and we say, oh, well, a year off and some time, and
I mean, Milos
Teodosic can get healthy, but maybe they're just old.
That's an older guy.
Rested until they get hurt again.
Teodosic is an older guy. I'm not familiar with his injury history.
I'm a little surprised that he's falling apart already.
Yeah, but that's a guy that you can't expect to just get hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know how they do in Europe, guys.
Yeah, they play one. Yeah, and then they play once a week during the real season. So it's not the kind of grind you have in the NBA.
Yeah.
Even with this like more spaced out schedule, I'm not completely sold that you have to get rid of Doc yet. I personally
think he's lost his team.
He lost
Blake and DeAndre.
Yes, but I feel like those guys aren't worth keeping around. Like, I almost would prefer to see what could Doc do with a whole new cast of characters and those two guys out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like those guys ran Chris Paul out of there, basically.
Yeah.
I think Chris would say it was Doc, but I think at the end of the day, Doc chose those two guys over him. So at the end of the day, it was those two guys who ended up kind of running him out of town. And
those two guys in the sun.
Yes, and Austin. So, but the problem with that is I think that these two guys, I think they're kind of fat cats. You know, like I think that, not that they don't work hard, and they're not playing hard, because we saw early in this year, Blake Griffin looked like he was ready to play and he was ready to really dominate. But I feel like both of those guys needed to change the scenery this offseason, and it didn't happen. I think that now like they've outstayed their welcome, and I feel like they need a new challenge, and they need a new voice to be coaching them, and some new teammates to be yelling at them. I think both of them feel like they're above it, but they're not. I think they're still in their essence. They can still be very immature in terms of how they play, not maybe how they act. Blake, you can maybe say how they act based on him punching, trainers or whatever. Yeah. But I think they can be a little immature still, and I think they do need that authoritative voice. It might not be Doc, but it just might not be with the Clippers. They may need to be somewhere else.
I mean, Blake had the opportunity to sign with the Celtics this offseason, and
I think he chose not to, because I think he chose to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I think these two guys are both too comfortable where they are, and that's why this team, part of the reason why this team is falling apart.
Like DeAndre coming back to the Clippers when he knew that wasn't the right move. I mean, you got to go with your gut. He wanted to go to Dallas, try something new. They were able to sell him on, let's give it another go. And, it's L.A. He wasn't going to turn that down. So,
then both Dallas and the Knicks both sold him on, hey, like, we want to really make you, like, a real forefront, focal point, low post center. He's like, nah, I just want to catch lobs.
Yeah.
I want to get this easy check and catch more lobs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's something with these two guys where I feel like they really do need to be challenged, and it won't happen in Los Angeles.
So you're saying they should move on from Blake Griffin too?
I would too. Yeah, I don't know if they can. I don't.
Yeah, who's taking him out with a max contract?
Yeah, a max contract. His numbers are down this year. I don't know who's taking. I don't know who's taking him now. I feel like they had to sign him probably.
Money's drying up.
But money's starting to dry up. That cap is starting to get lower and lower by almost every year. And you can't afford, unless you're, I think, a championship caliber team, to take on someone like Blake Griffin.
I mean,
is there a chance you could trade with Cleveland and trade both of them? Give them both Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Get Love and Thompson and that Brooklyn pick. Could that get it done?
I still wouldn't give it the Brooklyn pick. I would give up any young prospect, Zizic and.
Nobody wants Zizic. Yeah. Everybody brings up Zizic for Cleveland as if other teams care who Zizic is. I understand that people who watch the Cavs and people who know Zizic think that this kid can play a little bit. Celtic fans know him a little bit. But no one else knows who this guy is. So Zizic is not going to excite the Clippers in terms of making a Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan deal.
Exactly. I mean, maybe Portland. You can get Portland on the phone with either one of these guys, particularly Blake. I don't think they have enough to get Blake Griffin, but
I think Portland would be a desperate team to do that, though.
Yeah, you get a third star.
You don't think they have enough to get it done?
I mean, you'd have to trade Nurkic. He'd be the centerpiece, and maybe they're willing to do that.
But why would the Clippers need Nurkic and Jordan unless like they're doing what I'm doing? They're committing to trading both those guys.
Yeah, you'd have to trade both guys.
I think whoever trades Blake Griffin, you have to be very careful. I think there are only a select few number of teams that should even be entertaining that idea.
I think it's got to be a big market.
They cannot be a team that's it's got to be a team that if they get this guy, they're definitely competing for a championship. It can't be, oh, well, now we'll make the playoffs because that guy's gonna break down in year 2, and now you're stuck with this guy. It's got to be a team that feels like with him this year or next year we could really compete.
I feel like he's got to go.
I think the Blazers are like borderline on that level. If you added Blake, I think obviously the Cavaliers will do anything at this point. They're in that ballpark, but there aren't that many other teams. I don't know, maybe the Spurs, maybe.
The same thing. That's
that might be an interesting because I know Pop has done an excellent job with keeping his players healthy. Also, so maybe it'd be great to send him there. They have a great training staff.
I almost wonder. I mean,
they manage his minutes.
Great this year, but I almost wonder if he's
such a great passer and ball handler. He'd be perfect in San Antonio if he's willing to play the right way, though. That's the other thing. Is he committed to playing that way? He has all the ability in the world to be like. He'd be Boris Diaw, not literally. I don't think he's on steroids, but he'd be like an advanced Boris Diaw.
Yeah.
Because he has the same kind of handle, the same kind of passing ability, and he could jump out the gym, and he's built like a tight end. He'd be brilliant with San Antonio.
Washington. I mean, there are teams out. Washington's a team.
Washington.
You could definitely put in that championship conversation.
Him for Otto Porter. And Otto Porter's playing well. I would look.
If I'm the Clippers, I'm looking for a real package back.
I mean, it'd be more. I might need more than Otto Porter, but it wouldn't be that much. Otto Porter has played really well this year. I think that Otto Porter has definitely got a upward trajectory, whereas Blake Griffin has a downward.
Like if I'm giving up Blake Griffin, I want your second guy. Like I want McCollum, I want Beal.
They're not getting that.
They're not. Yeah.
There's no way you're getting that.
But is it worth it for them at that point? I mean, unless you're just saying we're going full on tank. We're trying to get Doncic. We're trying.
They kind of should though.
Bagley.
They really, but that's where they need to go. Because I was looking at the standing. Because my second question is, if they stay pat, can they figure this out? And I don't know. I don't think so, probably, because with the way I look at the Western Conference, it appears that some of these teams that on the bottom half that I didn't quite believe in are a little better than I thought. I didn't really believe in Portland, and they've started off pretty well this year. I didn't really believe in New Orleans, and they've been playing really well as of late. So those are two teams that I think will likely, at the very least, compete for playoff spots. I know that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to make it, and they're the 8th seed. So where are the Clippers? Where are they fitting into this Western Conference? I don't see a spot for them.
Especially without Beverly.
Yeah, with Beverly gone for the year,
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to replace him.
Yeah.
I don't know when Gallo's coming back.
Yeah.
They're not a playoff team. So I think that instead of milling around being, 6 or 7 games below 500, they should just blow the whole joint up. If you enjoyed this podcast segment, be sure to check out all of our shows on the New Generation Podcast Network on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher.